30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a pretty nice Monday out there. Temperature only in the low 80s, which is a relief. Several new things happening on the show today. Different backdrop. Oh, yeah. Different backdrop. Yellow. Who made this decision, Billy?
Dan Williams.
Okay. If Dan made it, then it's a good decision.
No doubt about it.
Yes. Now let's bring you up real quickly, because this is creating a little bit of a controversy. All of you notice that Billy has on a George Plaster Show shirt. This is a big moment. I mean, we would have had Kelly's where he could wear it today, but if you told him to get here, he'd end up in Hickman County or in Memphis, and you just don't know what to expect in that kind of thing. Let's bring Kelly up real quickly. Kelly, you've made a lot of fun of a lot of things that, in particular, that I wear. Do you approve of what Billy has on?
I mean, do I have to wear it?
I don't think that's the spirit. The lack of teamwork.
Hey, you know what it reminds me of, George? It reminds me when myself and Kevin Ingram were doing our Thursday night lights and our Captain D shirt that we have to wear every week. That's what it looks like.
Did it look like NASCAR?
Yeah, we were sponsored by Captain D, so you always had to throw a plug in for Captain D's and their fish and chips. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
I expect a check in the mail later this week.
So, Billy, let's take a look at that real quickly again, because it's a damn good looking logo.
It just says George Plaster show, George.
That's the name of it.
I mean, I get it, but what's miraculous about it? It just says your name.
Nothing. It's a nice looking logo, and I've gotten the entire staff these shirts. And all you do is complain. You've not been the teammate that I hoped you would be. You still hear every time you point out that you're not in the open, I'm going to retaliate with you have not even subscribed to our show on our own YouTube channel.
Well, I've tried several times, and every time I put in my email address, it says that the email address is already used. I've got to put it. See, so this is where everything goes in my house. We've got 8,000 emails addresses in this house. My kids, my wife, myself. I had to change mine. I've got another. So I don't even know what I'm supposed to use here, big dog.
Just to embarrass Kelly, I would like somebody watching this show today to go ahead and subscribe on our YouTube channel, because when you do, I will tee off on Kelly. I think people will enjoy that. For instance, Terry McCormick has signed up. Let's bring Terry up here. Terry, how long did it take you?
3 seconds.
3 seconds. Okay. So degree of difficulty, 1, 10 being the most difficult, was what?
About a 2. But what I'm saying, but I do empathize with Kelly, because I've had things where you go and you check something and you can't remember a password, and you don't know what's connected to what, and then you have to retrieve the password. So I feel Kelly's pain there.
Thanks, Terry, because that is exactly what's going on. I don't write anything down, which is stupidity on my part. I get it, but it's saying that this email address has already been used, and I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand all that technology. First of all, I don't like people knowing all my business because the government's going to know all of our business when you put in your birthday, whether you're male or
Mhm.
female, what's your bank accounts. Well, I mean, it's just crazy. I don't
We're
like
not
it.
asking for anybody's bank account.
I know, but you never know, George. You never know.
Here's what I do know. Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland, who wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that's absolutely possible. Dial her up at 615-969-4350. We welcome Terry McCormick to the show. He is one of 930 people who has subscribed to our YouTube channel. Terry, I cannot thank you enough.
It's a pretty exclusive club there, George.
It
930 people in the world.
It really is. Oh, look at that. We've got, wow, looky there. That is big time. Nice.
Nice.
Okay. In what seems like it happened a week ago, the Titans played New England Friday night. Injury wise, how'd they come out of it?
They're okay. They got some good news today. Traylon Burks was back on the practice field, George, for the first time since he suffered that knee injury on August the 16th up in Minnesota. He did a little bit of work, while we were allowed to watch the first 20 minutes or so of practice, and looks like he looked pretty good. So it's a situation where he's going to have a chance maybe to even be back, hopefully by the season opener, if all goes well. But, that was probably the biggest news. They also got Dylan Radins back, activated off the PUP list today. And so he's going to be in the running, coming back off that ACL to try and get some playing time down the road on this offensive line that needs some help.
So help me. Tomorrow is cut down date. What time?
3 o'clock. All cuts have to be in by 3 o'clock Central Time. So it'll be interesting to see what type of moves they made. They cut a few guys yesterday, cut a few more today. They currently have 81 players. And as you know, George, they are kickerless, having cut Michael Badgley yesterday.
Okay, let's talk about that because he hit what looked like one of my golf shots on the missed field goal. Where do you think they go from there? And does this search begin with Ryan Suckup?
I don't know if it begins with Suckup or not. I think, Suckup would come back if it's the right situation. Mason Crosby, Robbie Gould are in that. The Titans seem to be, I don't know, they seem to be downplaying this situation. I think they would like to have a young guy that they don't have to pay a lot of guaranteed money to come in and overwhelm them and take this kicker position. But I'm not sure they're going to be able to find that guy, honestly, George. They can look around. There are kicker battles going on across the league in San Francisco, in New England, in
New
Detroit,
Orleans?
New Orleans. So they might be able to scoop one of those guys up once those teams decide on who they want and take the leftover guy and keep looking. One of the things that I think they probably end up doing is when cutdown day comes tomorrow, there will not be a kicker on the 53-man roster, but they've got to keep Kyle Phillips on the roster if they want to bring him back from IR. He had a metal brace on his left knee in the locker room, which tells me that with that sprained MCL, he's probably going to miss some time. They have shortened the IR stay to a minimum of 4 weeks now. So they can bring him back in 4 weeks, but he has to be on the roster the first day that the league season starts, which is tomorrow. So Wednesday, or sign one on Wednesday, ship Phillips to the IR, and bring him back in a month.
God knows we want to be legal within the league. So give me what you think is the tightest battle, the toughest decision they have on this roster.
I think the toughest decision, that it may come down to, just picking from among some of these undrafted free agents that have come in here and played pretty well. Guys like Kearis Jackson at receiver, Eric Garrett, defensive back, and a couple of other guys like Armani Marsh, who can play safety or play corner. Some of those guys, Caleb Murphy is another one. Some of those guys have looked pretty good throughout this camp, but them making the roster and, or being exposed to waivers could come down to how well one of them plays teams over the other one. So that's going to be an issue to watch. The other thing too, at inside linebacker, they have some guys who don't have a lot of experience in Jack Gibbons and Chance Campbell. They would like for Monty Rice to step up and be that guy, but he's been battling injuries and thus far hasn't done that. So, inside linebacker is another area where it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Terry, can we just go ahead and say, let's have you on tomorrow at 3:20?
Sounds good, George. I'll be here.
Listen, appreciate it. By the way, I want you to look at this. This is big. Billy, show that graphic again. Somebody has done that, and that somebody is not Kelly Holcomb.
Wow.
We're up to 931. Billy, do I feel a 932 in the air?
It's up to Kelly.
Well, no, I think we're hoping that one of our loyal listeners will get on our YouTube channel and subscribe.
And you're hoping to shame Kelly into it by the end of the show.
Yeah, I'd like to hope for that, but he roots against me in plaster bet of the day. There's just there's a lot of teamwork issues. See ya.
He's a me guy.
Oh, bring him back up. Let's see his look. Kelly, are you a me guy?
With you, absolutely. I'm still not even in the opener.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So until you get me in the opener, no subscription.
Really? So we're holding out now. I like that.
Yeah, we're leveraging. Hey, I'm going to do like my agent used to do. We're leveraging, baby.
Well, you know what?
Special guest star, Kelly Holcomb.
We're going to get to 1,000 without you. Terry, appreciate it. See you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
Kelly, did you have oh, yes, absolutely. Terry's Daily Titans Update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland, who wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that is definitely a possibility. Just dial her up at 615-969-4350. Kelly, did you have a good weekend?
Great. It was great, George. How about yourself?
It was wonderful. A lot of football.
Good. Yes. Correct.
Kelly, do we have an update in our future?
We do. We've only got about 5 minutes left for it, though, unless we want to cut into Kelly's Titans analysis time. And I don't think we want to do that. So,
really?
Yeah, we couldn't do that. But college football, of course, week 0 got underway. Vandy avoids a disaster against Hawaii. We'll get deeper into that. Beat the Rainbow Warriors 35-28. Notre Dame beats Navy. Not just beat them, they beat them like a drum, 42-3.
It tells you nothing about Notre Dame.
Sam Hartman.
Navy is awful.
Yeah.
Up next, TSU in South Bend. So that'll be interesting. National televised game. So we'll see about.
Do we know what kind of money they get out of that?
I don't know. I don't know what if it's more because of this HBCU deal, but I'll look that up and see what they got there. But Alabama will play MTSU this Saturday, and now
why is that in the update when that's later in the show?
Just calm down, George. There's a point to this.
I'm waiting for it.
Just relax.
Kelly's waiting for it too.
Nick Saban neglected to name a starting quarterback today.
Is that so?
But he also neglected to even release a depth chart. And that is the first time in Saban's 17 seasons with the Crimson Tide that he didn't release a depth chart the week of the season opener.
Who's he pissed at?
I don't know. But that's kind of weird. Yeah. So that is out there. Also, ACC expansion is expected this week.
Yes.
Even though I think I said that last week, but they're going to have some big conversations starting this morning. And I think it's worth mentioning amid today's news, what may well be on the horizon with SMU, Cal, and Stanford is that the ACC is set to unveil its new headquarters in Charlotte tomorrow. I'd say they'll have a few things to talk about tomorrow. if this actually ends up happening. I don't know if it'll happen as soon as tomorrow, though.
The deal looks like they're telling the 3 that may be in there. And by the way, not everybody's convinced that this move has the votes. Nice shot of your hand there, by the way.
Yeah.
Supposedly, right now, they're telling these 3 schools, you can come in, but you're not getting nearly the TV money that the existing people are.
At least they're going to have a conference to go to, though.
A good point.
That is a good point. All right, Kelly.
Can't argue that.
Let's get into some golf. I know you watched this. How about Victor Hovland?
He's rich.
He'll
buy some advertising.
He's unbelievable. If we can get him, he'll buy some advertising. He'll pay our salaries. There's no question.
Second straight victory after winning last week's BMW championship. He wins the Tour championship and the FedEx Cup title as a result. $18 million bonus. And at 24 years old, Hovland has earned $21.6 million over the past 2 weeks.
Unbelievable.
That's pretty good smack.
At that young of an age, he might be the one guy on the rise. I know there's a lot of good young golfers, Kelly, but
hell, he could fund the ACC at this point.
Not there yet, George.
Close.
Nah.
No, he could fund SMU.
Stanford and Cal headed to the ACC. Brought to you by Victor Hovland. All right, couple notes in the NFL. The Texans beat the Saints over the weekend. A big win. DeMeco Ryans announced that C.J. Stroud will be their starter, and the Texans were the last team in the league to name their starter. So crazy division.
Behind Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. But how about the AFC South? Stroud, rookie. Richardson, rookie. Lawrence, third year, right? And then Tannehill. Is he in his 12th or 13th right now?
Something like that.
So we'll see who ends up winning that division. It might be a big indictment on Tannehill and the Titans if they can't. I know Lawrence is good, but also Eagles defensive end Derek Barnett is gauging the market for the potential to play more elsewhere. And he may be seeking a trade. Eagles, they got a lot of edge rushers, so I think it's getting a little crowded in there.
They got a lot of people, period.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Their roster is loaded.
They drafted Jalen Carter like they really needed him. And I mean, he might be the steal of the draft with where they took him. He did have some off-field issues, though. But that's it today, George.
Okay. Watson Brown not available today, traveling. And so, Kelly, the floor will be yours for Watson Brown's Titans analysis. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. 2 things. For today, we'll rename it. We'll put your name behind it. And by the time we come back, I will have subscriber number 932 to our YouTube channel.
Look at that, Kelly. You get your name behind this.
Yeah. You just watch.
Also, real quick, George.
Wait a minute. I thought we were finished with the update.
Well, late breaking news.
Late breaking.
Connor Wigman has beat out Max Johnson for A&M's starting quarterback job.
He's the young guy that started late in the season that did pretty good.
Yep. That's wow. Max Johnson's a good football player too. I talked about him several weeks ago. The son of Brad Johnson. I played at LSU. Obviously played really well. Tough kid, lefty. I didn't think that would happen, Billy. I really didn't.
For A&M's sake, this guy better be good.
Yep.
We'll go to the break, and then we'll have Kelly Holcomb's Titans analysis when we come back. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yelly cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Today it is Kelly Holcomb's Titans analysis. Watson Brown will be back with us next week. Kelly, we got the news early in the day on Friday that Will Levis was not going to play. And for me, it's not like it's a career ender, but man, this just could not afford to happen for a rookie to not get to play in 2 of the 3 preseason games. I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, he's missing some valuable time. There's no question about that, George. Some experience time that he's gotten out there, but it's given an opportunity for Malik Willis to come in there and, he did some good things, did some bad things, but you've got to be on the field. And I know it's probably one of those soft tissue deals. I don't know, but it takes a while to heal sometimes. And with the injuries that Will Levis had last year at Kentucky, it's kind of concerning a little bit because you got to be on the field. And he fought through a bunch of that stuff last year, and he wasn't productive as he was the year before because of those injuries. So, they always used to say you can't make the club in the tub. That's obviously not going to happen because he's projected to be the savior around here if something happens to Ryan Tannehill or if Ryan Tannehill doesn't come back next year. But it's you got to be out there on the field, and the only way you do that is to gain experience is to play, George, and he's missing a lot of valuable time right now, and Malik Willis is making the most of it.
Okay, let's talk about Malik Willis. Obviously, the network TV shows have just gone hog wild on San Fran's trade of Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys. Kelly, let me ask you this question. Is Malik Willis Trey Lance 2.0?
I don't know about that, George. I'm not sure of that. I just see some of the things that Watson talked about. I really do. His feet are not great. Every time he drops back, my coaches in college used to always say, on your fifth step, if you got a 5-step drop in that fifth step, your feet can't be very far apart. You watch him and his feet are apart, and then you have to, when you're hitching up, you have to close that in, and sometimes that makes you inaccurate. And I think that's what you've seen with him. Now, if you watch him play, as I did, he's more confident, and he's not looking to run as much as he used to. I will say that. Now, when it presents itself, he is running, but there was a time where I think he hit the Chestnut kid out of the backfield, where there was pressure off his left side, his blind side, which is why those left tackles get paid all that money for a right-handed quarterback. But he had to step up, and normally last year he would have just taken off running. And this year he stayed in the pocket. He looked downfield, and this right here, that was a rocket throw. I didn't have that. That's kind of unbelievable. So you can tell that he's gained a little bit of confidence, and that's finally gotten through to him that you've got to throw from the pocket. When you have to move, keep your eyes downfield. Now, I think last year he would have probably just taken off running. But this year he's looking, he's more comfortable with stuff, and that's a professional throw right there. Now, the one interception that he had, it kind of got deflected. He threw it behind something. Announcers are talking about, well, they threw it behind him. But if you can see the linebacker coming. If he throws it right in the chest of the guy, the linebacker is going to either knock it down or pick it off. He had to throw it behind him, and his tight end got his hand. I think it was the tight end, got his hands on the ball and deflected and got intercepted. Now, the second one was not a very good throw. That's a touch ball right there where – I've had throws like that where you just don't get enough on it, but he's got to work on his touch, George. But other than that, I thought he looked pretty good the other night, and I do think that the experience he got from last year to now, with throwing the football and moving around in the pocket and not being just the first thing happens, taking off running and keeping his eyes downfield, I think he has gotten better with that, George.
Kelly, isn't that the issue, that when he does something really good, you see some sparks of things that excite you. And then about the time you're completely sold, then you see something where you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that second interception was bad. I mean, it was really bad. And you can't – when you see those, you just can't have those kind of mistakes, George. You can't make mistakes in the National Football League like that. When you're fumbling the football, when you're – throwing it to the other teams, that's the fastest way to get you beat, and you're not going to be on the field that long if you keep doing that.
Not that this has anything to do with anything, but I want to throw it out there. Billy, I'd love for you to chime in on this one as well. So they start Ryan Tannehill, 3 straight running plays, and then he comes out, which begs the question, what the hell was he in there for in the first place? Help me with that.
I'm kind of with you, George. I saw that too. Like 3 running plays. Like, what are we doing? Like, give him at least a hitch route or something to let him get into the game. If you're a quarterback, you want to get in there and you want to get a little the game speed, because it's different than practice. I mean, you say that, hey, we're going to do a third down or a third down situation drill with offense and defense first guys, but it's different when you're playing against another team and they're out there trying to get you, but you hand the ball off on 3 times. I mean, I'm not sure what we're trying to get there with that, just getting him out on the field and getting him in there with the guys and seeing maybe how he does things during a game. But other than that, I at least give him something like a pop to the tight end or a stick route to the tight end or something. I don't know.
I mean, what's the point of even having him show up at the stadium if he's just – I know that's a stupid question, but like 3 handoffs? I mean, play him 2, maybe 3 series. That's ridiculous.
Well,
I mean, is it really worth it having him make 3 handoffs? I mean, he might have checked down for a couple of plays, but I mean, if you're Tannehill, at least make one throw.
Well, I am asking myself, okay, was this Vrabel trying to prove a point? See, we played him. I don't know. I mean,
maybe it was. Who
It might
knows?
have been because there was a lot of talk about, will Tannehill play? Rodgers played, I think, maybe 2 series, something like that, and looked good. So maybe Vrabel just wanted to make a little joke there.
I mean, Tannehill did a great job on the handoffs. I said to myself, man, that is very crisp.
Mm-hmm.
Did he stick the ball out there, George? And
he appeared to.
Stuck the ball out there, and he hit his hands when he let go of the ball. So yeah, there's something to that.
Fundamentals were beautiful.
I mean, that's like the 6th grade, 5th and 6th grade, your first year of football. You really practice handoffs, but you get to high school, you know what you're doing.
So
that's not so much, Billy.
No?
Not so much. No, I've coached it, not so much.
So you got to really work with guys about handoffs.
Absolutely, yes, you do.
Okay, let's go to the other side of the field where it looks like the Titans are really stacked. And yet when you sit and you watch one of these games, and I keep going back to my favorite little saying, Gerber's baby food. Yeah. Nobody's challenging anybody in preseason. It looks like they have about 6 plays, and it's going to be one of those 6. So, Kelly, what is your thought about their defense?
The other night, they looked really good, George. And the thing about defense, and this is what I tell young kids all the time, the thing about defense is and I know it's more than this. I used to get a defense coordinator upset at me because I'm like, all you got to do on defense is see ball, get ball. And that's really pretty much true, but hey, we got cover 3, we got middle of the field open, we got all this stuff. But I will say this, they got after it the other night. They had 6 sacks, I think. So they had some guys getting to the ball. You watch it. I think they held – what did they held New England to? 79 yards of total offense. It wasn't very good. They didn't look very good. Yeah, they did not look very good. And Tennessee, you could tell that the guys were getting around it. They got some pressure by the Autry guy. He got a sack. So they've got some guys that can rush the passer, George. There's no question about that. And when you play defense like that, you play it fast and you just go hit something. If you don't know what you're doing, just go hit something or find the ball and hit it. And they look pretty good to me.
Why are they screwing around with the kicking game?
I don't know, man. That's exactly what I was thinking, because if it's me, what you said earlier to Terry about Ryan Suckup, that's exactly who I'd go get, because he's a known commodity. I mean, the guy's been here. I think he lives here is what Terry said. So I would go out and get him. I really would, because when you play the kind of style of game that the Tennessee Titans play offensively, you have got to have a guy, and this goes for every team. You've got to have a really good kicker. I mean, you look at New England, what they did a long time ago. They better have Adam Vinatieri, because if they don't, they may not win 1 or 2 of those Super Bowls. So everybody's got to have a good kicker. But the way that the Titans play offense of just grind it out, play action pass, try to manhandle the defensive front, and try to just make yards the old-fashioned way, a kicker is very important. And man, when you and Terry were talking about that, they'd already let that Badgley guy go. I'm just thinking to myself, like, they have to have a kicker, because if they don't, that's really important for the Titans more than it is other teams.
Now, the good news in that, Kelly, is that it should not be difficult to find one. I watched last night the kid in New Orleans from Notre Dame battling the incumbent. And certainly, look, Badgley, for all intents and purposes, lost the game on a shank shot against New England. The second or third field goal attempt was awful, not even close. That's when all the red flags went up there. But certainly, Suckup is available. He doesn't have the range. He's probably 52 and in. But they went through that with Randy Bullock for a couple of years, and I think Suckup is more accurate. And there are 4 or 5 really good ones out there. This should not be a big problem.
Well, I don't think so, but it could turn into a big problem, because everybody's looking for that. There'll be other teams that are in the kind of the same situation, in the same boat. So Ryan Suckup is a known commodity. He's very accurate with the ball. You know, he has gotten older. I'm sure he's lost a little bit of leg strength, but like you said, 52 yards, pretty good. And the guy's been around. He's done it for a long time. So I'm just going after one of those deals, because if you think that you're going to be the team that I think that they can be, which I don't know how you tell anything in preseason. We talk about it every Monday, George. Preseason's awful. It's awful to watch. You find out a few things about a team, but the way that Mike Vrabel likes to play and the way that the Tennessee Titans are kind of built, they have got to have a guy back there that's very accurate kicking the football.
Okay, let's leave it like this, because you just said it. Preseason's a joke. The games are awful. You learn very little. For me, the biggest revelation is that Tyjae Spears is really going to help this team. Can you find one other revelation out of training camp?
I think the running back position, I like the Chestnut guy too. The Chestnut guy is kind of a third guy where if somebody goes down, he's very knowledgeable about what's going on. You know, he hustles his tail off. He's a special teams guy. Made some plays in that game. Caught a touchdown pass from Malik Willis. Made a huge play when Malik Willis had to step up and throw it to the left a little bit. And I like him. The Spears kid is going to be really good, as you said, George. So I think offensively they got some things going. Obviously, Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel knew what they were doing, taking every position. Not every position, but every draft pick with an offensive guy. Obviously, they knew what they were doing, and they think that's where they needed the most. And they got some guys on defense that can rush the passer. They can, you know, if you can get pressure on a quarterback with just four guys, that's what the Tampa Bay Bucks did a long time ago with Monty Kiffin. They had those guys up front, and they could play a two-deep secondary. They can control the run game, and they could rush the passer. If you can do that, you've got a chance, George.
Okay, that's Kelly Holcomb's Titans analysis. After the break, we'll hear from head coach Mike Vrabel. Stick around. This is the George Plaster Show. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to AlacoFineWoodFloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We're back. In a moment, you will hear from Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. And by the way, he's been pretty non-committal where you would have said, okay, he's going to just say Malik Willis is number 2 until further notice. He wouldn't go there. Interesting. Really, all he would say was this thing is still to be evaluated. That caught a lot of people by surprise. Anyway, let's hear from Mike Vrabel.
Well, I mean, I think that'll, again, be a fluid situation. We'll keep looking through a lot of different options, and whether we bring guys to work out, whether we, sign guys, see who, kind of comes available and work through some things. We're obviously going to need one.
Vrabel's clock surprised you a little bit, and how encouraging is it that he can be available this soon?
Very encouraging. Dylan worked extremely hard to get back out here, and through conversations with his surgeon, our doctors, Dylan most importantly, just excited to get him back out there. And again, I think it's we're probably a little bit away from team, but I think it's also important that, when a player gets to a point that he's done kind of rehabbing, that he gets back out there with his teammates and individual, and we'll figure out group things, and then we'll see where he is.
Could he be a right tackle option for you guys?
I think he can, certainly want to just make sure that, see how he feels before we start making him an option anywhere. I think the first step is just getting him out there.
Back on the kicker situation, has it frustrated you that you've not been able to find anybody to stabilize that position the way that you have at the punter position?
By you mean having Brett Kern here, for 12 years or 15 years, or however many years he was here before me? No, not frustrated.
Is it more part of the challenge that it's not easy to find kickers who can, do what you're, to kick in this league? There's 32 of those jobs.
Yeah. Let me know when Justin Tucker's available.
Another guy who's not being let go anytime soon.
No, obviously, we're just going to keep finding, keep evaluating guys, and, again, we're going to need one, and we're obviously searching like everybody, not everybody else, but a handful of teams.
There were some good kickers available in free agency during early free agency, no?
There's kickers going to be available at different times throughout the year, and whether that's free agency or tomorrow or next day.
Does Stonehouse have any experience doing kickoffs if you needed to use
I
him
don't
in
think
that
that's
capacity?
something. I don't think that's something that, again, it would be an emergency thing. It's not something I think we really want to explore. Just from a mechanics standpoint, injury, I don't think that that's something that he's, trained for. He could do it in an emergency and did do it, and just was ready to do it. But I don't think we would start there.
How much, I guess, the lingering injuries make it difficult this time of year when you're trying to get down to 53, deciding how long?
Well, I think that's part of it, and seeing how guys are going to, do you have to carry them? Do you have to, you're going to put them on IR with some sort of designation and for a return, and all part of the process of getting to 53 tomorrow afternoon.
You talked before the season about tweaking your training regimen to 2 days on and then a 1 day walkthrough. What did the data through training camp show you how that went?
From a soft tissue perspective, I would say, in training camp, good. Again, I think some of our injuries, the majority of our injuries occurred during games. So we'll have to see where that goes and continue to monitor it and try to make sure that everybody's ready to go. And when things come up, address them, treat them. But I think that through training camp, I thought that we didn't feel like we had a lot of receivers or DBs with hamstring issues or things like that normally would show up with that, those position groups.
You feel like this is kind of the new formula you're going to take forward then, that this really had an impact on that?
We weren't far off, from this last year, again, with the jog throughs. And if we look back, we did this similar thing last year. So I think that's, it's where we were this year. We'll see where it is next year and see where we're at. But I thought that the guys handled it pretty well as far as just how they approached the day and were able to get work in and install and go out on the field and just lower the volume.
With the offensive line, what's left between now and the season opener that you have to accomplish? As far as like the right tackle position for you to name a guy to be the starter there.
Right now, Chris is the starter. That could change. Justin's here. Dylan's getting to practice. We're going to work through. Jalen hopefully will be back out there today. Keep practicing, keep competing. Things can change. It's nothing that's set in stone throughout anywhere. Maybe a few positions, but I thought they responded well yesterday to some of the corrections, conversations coming out of the game, and I think they know what we expect or what I expect, and the ability to protect the guy with the football, whether that's when we run it or whether we throw it.
Mike, how is Will Levis feeling, and are you hoping to get a full week of practice out of him?
Yeah, I anticipate Will being out there, and I think he's, for a young player, I thought he stayed really engaged in what we're doing offensively, and just had a professional approach to not being on the field, which some guys it's difficult. They lose focus because they know they're not practicing or, maybe not planning the game. I felt like just his preparation leading up to the game was lockstep. I saw him communicating with, with Malik and the coaches. So there's just a lot of maturity there. Through players' career, they're going to deal with some sort of absence and how they handle it. And so I thought it's a pretty good start for Will.
That goes out of the building, or does that start Monday?
I think that starts after tomorrow. And there's going to be some modification. Nick will be back after, I think, 3 games into the building, allow him to lift and work out here and, be involved in meetings, just nothing with practice. So that's good, so that he can come in here, he can work out, he can treat, be at meetings, and just not have any involvement with practice. or be at the games.
Do you feel like now with the opener on the horizon, like the bulk of the issues you had last year outside of injuries are fixed to your satisfaction, been addressed?
The issues, I mean, we're going to have issues every year that we're going to have to deal with. I'm not.
But last year's like that you're starting at a point where you feel like.
I mean, I think everybody does. I think that's where you go in at. You know, take care of the football and turn it over more. If you could tell me that's going to happen, then I'll tell you, yeah. But I know you practice and prepare for it, but what matters is what you do out on the game. You know, practice is important. I understand that. We believe that. Okay, your ability to make plays on the practice field lead to what you do in the game, but also you have to go out and do it in the game. You have to block them. You have to tackle. You have to turn the football over. You have to be able to take care of it, protect the quarterback, and make contested catches and all those things.
So, Kelly, let me bring you back up here. The way the schedule is set, with only 3 preseason games, thank God, there's almost this 2-week gap between your final preseason game and your regular season opener. In fact, it's more like 16 days between Patriots and Saints. Tell people kind of what will go on during that long period of time.
Wow, I've been confused about it, George, because I was thinking that, normally when they finish they try to get all the preseason done on the Thursday before you start the season.
Right.
So I was thinking that we were playing this coming up Thursday, and then I was seeing games on Friday and Saturday, and I'm like, it can't be. And then I looked at some of the schedules, and I saw. So we got a little time. So. I don't. This is going to be different for me, George, because when we finish the preseason, the next week we got the next Sunday. I mean, we would have about 10 days before our first game. So it's a little bit different now. So they'll probably have some run throughs, as you talked about. I guess they're not calling them walkthroughs anymore. They'll probably have some run throughs again. They'll probably try to get some guys healthy, get them in the training room quite a bit. They're still going to have obviously practice, but they'll start working on the Saints. I don't know if he'll probably get into some of that this week, just kind of presenting some of the offensive schemes and some of the defensive schemes that they got. They'll start presenting that this week and going through that a little bit. And then next week, obviously, they'll get into it hard. So they're going to try to get some guys that have been banged up a little bit, probably the Treylon Burks of the world, the Will Levises of the world. Try to get those guys, get them a couple of treatments so they can get back out there on the field. But this is kind of different for me, George, because that is quite a bit of time but after the last preseason game to your first game. Now I know that Detroit. Yeah, and then I know that Detroit and Kansas City are playing on Thursday night. They're going to start the season, not this Thursday, but the next Thursday. So they're a little bit shorter, but still, that's quite a long time. And I'm sure as a coach, of course, these guys are different now, but you always worry about guys when you got a long period of time. You still got them under the roof and under the building, but you're not playing any games. So it's kind of to keep them focused. Sometimes that's a little tough when you got younger guys, but it is a little bit different, George, and it's different for me. It really is.
After the break, we'll have our stat of the day, and then a Vandy report card off the opening night victory over the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. So stick around, plenty more coming. Do not touch that dial.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
Top of the hour on a Reaction Monday. It's time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. All right, let's see what we got cooked up today. We're going college football.
We can't do that 2 days until opening day, though, can we?
No, we are here. College football has arrived. We got week 1 this weekend. Notre Dame quarterback Sam Hartman threw 4 touchdowns against Navy, which ties the most by a player in his Notre Dame debut in school history. Who are the other 2 Notre Dame quarterbacks to do the same?
Okay, Kelly, this is a good question. Do you remember Ron Paulus?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
You remember the
absolute hype? Yeah.
Oh my God. So that's the first one I thought of. Is Paulus is probably on there.
I'll go ahead and tell you are correct.
Well, thank
you.
you.
So is the other guy an older guy or is he an older guy, Billy?
The other guy is fairly recent.
Is fairly recent.
Oh.
And I'm doubting y'all's ability to answer this correctly.
Yeah, because I haven't even really paid attention to Notre Dame quarterbacks in years.
Well, they haven't been very good. So
exactly.
Okay. How about Brady Quinn?
Incorrect.
Yeah.
I don't like the question as much as I did when I had Paulus.
You knew you had Paulus.
What about the Clausen kid?
Incorrect.
Well, show it to us. Show us what we got.
George is sick of the wrong answers. All right, this guy is probably...
it takes the luster off my getting one right.
This guy's probably a surprise to a lot of people, but Jack Cohn in 2021.
Jack Cohn. See, I don't even remember him.
This is the kid that transferred from Wisconsin.
Yeah, and he was pretty good. I mean,
he
was actually he was really solid, actually, but not as talented as Hartman.
So while they were beating up, the Little Sisters of the Poor Saturday, did that wake up some echoes for you?
Shake up the echo.
Shake up the echoes. I don't know. It's one of those.
How am I forgetting this?
Navy was dreadful.
God, it's bad, man.
I
mean, 42-3.
Yeah, it was a butt whipping.
I will say Notre Dame, that their running backs looked good. The big Audric Estime is being compared to Jerome Bettis, but it is Navy. So let's wait till.
Who do they play next week, Billy? Is it the Marines?
Next week they got TSU.
Oh, that's right. You already told me. I thought you were playing the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines.
No, I want to say Ohio State week 3. Let me check that. Let's see. Okay, Ohio State September 23rd. So it looks like that
game is
week 4. So they got NC State and then Ohio State. NC State on the road.
Ooh. And then they have Ohio State at home.
And then actually they have Central Michigan then Ohio State. So Ohio State week 5.
That Central Michigan game will be a biggie.
At home. And then they got to go to Duke.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I got this right. Are they home to Ohio State?
Yes, that is in South Bend.
Man.
Good luck getting into that one.
Can you say hype?
Notre Dame has one of those. They have one of those each year where it's just, one of the biggest games of the year. And that's it for them this year.
I will say this, Billy. You finally got your quarterback because the dude looked pretty good. I mean, he played really well at Wake Forest, which, is not considered a powerhouse among the college elites.
No.
But he threw the ball really well. And the guy, I think he only had 3 incompletions the other night. The guy, you can tell that he's an older guy. He's experienced. He knows what he gets rid of the football. He doesn't hold it, which it makes my makes my heart warm, dude. It just to see somebody that actually plays the game and doesn't run around. He throws it from the pocket.
Well, and he's 24 years old, so I think you could see. I'm not going to say he's going to be Stetson Bennett and lead Notre Dame to the national title, but I think there's a little bit of Bennett in him. He's old. He's played a ton of football. He can run.
He'll get his AARP card.
But there aren't many 24-year-old quarterbacks that come around in college football, and he's one of them.
Looked good the other day. He was throwing the ball on time, throwing it precision. I mean, he's finally got you one.
Look out now.
Wake up the echoes.
I don't know about look out now. My brother-in-law loves the Notre Dame, and I've been hearing for 25 years, every year, that they're going to win the national championship. So that hadn't happened in a while.
You got that right.
Ever since Lou Holtz was there, son.
So give Lou's scouting report of TSU.
I couldn't even tell you, son. I know that they're going to be scared to death when they walk through the tunnel and they see them little girls out there and they see everybody in the stands. I know they're going to be like, what we at, fellas? This is the start. This is one of the starting places of college football.
Thank you, Coach. Okay, are we now ready for our regularly scheduled programming?
We are.
Not yet in progress?
We are.
It is time for the Vandy report card. Following their opener Saturday night, which went off about an hour and a half late because of all the weather. So let's run. Well, I tell you what, go back, take that off there for a minute. Can we go to the kickoff return first?
Yes.
Let's do that.
9 years, baby. 9 years.
Yeah, you're right, Kelly. Since I think it was 2014. Darius Sims had two kickoff returns, actually, against South Carolina. But this guy right here, Jade McGowan, is the fastest player on the team. I think he reached almost 23 miles per hour, something crazy. Or maybe it was 22 on this run back. I mean, it was crazy. I looked over at one of the other riders in the booth, and I said, there was no one on that side.
Oh, there wasn't.
Look, everybody's on the right side. After this, he had one guy to beat, and it was the kicker.
The poor kicker never had a chance. He might as well have stayed at the Marriott.
He didn't need 54 to block for him there. I mean, Hawaii had everybody on that one side, and this was made easy. But he's a legit player. Now, he's only a sophomore. Came out of South Carolina. He has legit speed.
So the whole stay in your lane didn't really apply to Hawaii.
No, it was stay on one side of the field and not cover that other side.
So this gave Vandy an early start. Let's go to the positives and the negatives. And let's start on the positive side. Kelly, I think A.J. Swan is the least of their issues. I think this kid's really good.
You know what, George? I was quite impressed the other night. His very first pass was a little shaky, but I will say this, and I was thinking about this all day. It rained the other night, George, and I'm going to be honest with you. When I was playing and it rained, I had the old Troy Aikman syndrome. I listened to Troy Aikman talk about rain throwing the football, and I remember I was playing against the Cincinnati Bengals, and it was in Cleveland, and we were killing those guys in the first half. I was throwing the ball all over the place, had good protection. Everybody was doing what we're supposed to do. We come out, and it starts raining. And I remember my butthole puckered up, and the first pass that I threw coming out at halftime, I threw it about 15 yards over my intended receiver's head because it just squeezed out of my hand. Now, I made it through the game, but I was thinking about when you're a young guy, as A.J. Swan is, and you come out, I think he completed like 10 in a row at some point. Am I right, Billy, about that?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, he was pretty efficient.
He was really efficient. He spread the ball around a bunch of those young wide receivers, and I thought he looked really good, George. I'd give him an A. I don't want to go A+, but I would give him an A because I thought I thought he managed the offense well. I thought he threw the ball good. There's a couple, and I was thinking the same thing about the Hawaii guy. There was a couple of times where, and it happens in every game, and it happens in pro games, but it's just funny to see college guys go versus a pro guy where a guy has to jump up and catch the ball, where if it's a pro guy, he hits him in stride and he can make something out of it. Well, there was a couple of times where guys were they would catch the ball, it was high or something, and they would have to fall, and they got no yak yards. But that comes with experience, and that comes with playing. But overall, I thought the guy looked really well. He's a big kid. Didn't have to run around any. I thought he got some good protection, and he was able to get rid of the football and throw it on time and to get his guys out in space. I thought he did a really good job.
Billy, isn't there a streak he's on right now of throws in a row without a pick?
I think you're right.
And it's a lengthy one.
It is. Yeah, I think it's the South Carolina game from last year, I want to say.
When you see that trait in a young player who has not had a ton of playing time, that's really good.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me was their biggest strength to me in numbers is now wide receivers. Will Shepherd is clearly a big-time number 1. But, Billy, they've got some kids behind him, and I'm thinking in particular of the young guy from CPA who can fly.
Mm-hmm.
They have amassed some depth there.
They have. London Humphreys had a touchdown, his first collegiate catch, the kid out of CPA. They've also got some good depth. Junior Sherrill, a kid coming out of Lipscomb Academy, is a talent. Jade McGowan, as you saw in the kickoff return there, he played a little bit of running back as well. They like Quincy Skinner, Gamarion Carter. They've got some legit depth there. I think that's a top half room in the SEC, and if they can protect Swan, they can do some things this year. But it's a big if, and you saw that against Hawaii. We'll get to that.
Now, the third is just my little pet peeve. If you can you go back and show us their uniform? Because what they have done is they have taken what I thought was kind of a puke gold, which was more of a Purdue that had very little color to it, and they have jazzed it up big time. Over the years, I have thought Vandy has worn some of the worst-looking uniforms in college football. And Saturday night, I was like, yes, that's what they need to look like. So, Kelly, I realize that's just my little pet peeve, but this is a much better uniform. You're not going to show it to us, are you?
Well, that's a look at it there, but you can't. I know
that
you can't
doesn't
see
really
the pants.
tell me much.
You
can't go back to the touchdown?
The video's not playing for some reason right now.
So that's a tragedy.
Oh, well, that's shocking, Billy. That's shocking. George, I'm not as optimistic about those uniforms as you are. Of course, you're a Vandy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a little bit of the? Is that
black with blue?
No, I mean I understand that, but like it's still looking a little pukey looking to me, man. I don't know. It's just I guess if you like it, George, you're a Vandy guy. Hey, go for it. Whatever.
Now to the problems. Number 1, this one surprised me. They couldn't run a lick on Hawaii. And for me, that is a red flag because this is a team now. Make no mistake, Hawaii's better than they were. A year ago, they were god-awful. They were one of the 5 to 10 worst teams in Division I. Kelly, I thought they'd be able to run the ball, and the truth of it is they never got anything going.
Yeah, I don't think it was very consistent, George. They did have a couple of good runs, but when you're playing a team like Hawaii where you beat them really bad last year, and like you just said, they have gotten better, but you know that the brutal schedule that they're going to have here in a couple of weeks, and they've got to be able to run the game or to have a good running game to take some of the pressure off of A.J. Swan. And if you can run the ball a little bit, then it presents some play action opportunities for yourself, and they hit a couple of those the other night. But I just don't think the consistency was there, George. They hit a couple that they had some good runs on, but they just couldn't do it consistently. And you would think against a Hawaii team that you beat up so bad last year that's one thing you could do. You could be consistent in the run game, and I just never saw it.
The pass defense is a concern, although Hawaii, I thought, had a very good quarterback. I was impressed with that young man Vandy had some pass rush, which is different than in most years where they've had none out of their front four. But, Billy, they got, I think in the first half alone, they gave up 6 20-yard plus plays, and that's a concern.
Yeah, I mean, Hawaii outgained Vanderbilt by a pretty decently wide margin. They had 351 passing yards, 391 total. So credit to Braden Shager, but I don't know that I don't think Shager should have looked that good against an SEC defense. I mean, he had all day to throw most times. Now, Vandy, I think they got 3 sacks on him, but as you said, Kel, I mean, they did a little bit on the defensive line, but they didn't get nearly enough pressure on Shager. I mean, they were not getting in close enough to him, and they might send a couple of blitzes here and there, but they weren't getting home. So
that was the one. Yeah, that was the one thing that I saw, Billy. Like you just talked about. They did get some pressure at times when they needed it, but it wasn't consistent. And he was back there. He looked like he was able to eat a little bit, eat a snack back there sometimes when he was back there, and he was able to find some guys and make some good passes deep down the field. So some corners got beat pretty bad. You just can't let guys like that get behind you. Now that's stuff like that's going to happen in a game, but just lack of a pass rush consistently, just kind of like the run game up front offensively. You got to be in the SEC. You got to be able to get pass rush on some of these quarterbacks, and they just weren't able to do it very consistently the other night.
The third one to me is a program that is not used to this. They get up 35-14, and they've got a chance to drop the hammer. And they didn't drop the hammer. Not only does Hawaii score twice in the fourth quarter to get it to the final of 35-28, but they've got the ball back with 2 minutes left in the game. And, that's simply you got to drop the hammer when you've got a team in trouble. You got to dust them. And they didn't.
I agree with that, George. But that comes with winning. That comes with experience winning. And unfortunately, that's what Vanderbilt has not been able to do for a very long time. So that'll come if they can stack some wins. They can understand they're in those situations. It's just like a golfer. First time he gets put on a Masters Sunday in the final group, and he's not ready for that. He's never felt that. He's never felt all the pressure and the experience of that. By just doing it helps. So I think that'll come. I really like listening to a lot of the things that Clark Lee has talked about. It's a process, and we always that word is overused to me a bunch. Everything is a process. We get it. We understand that. But at Vanderbilt, it's true. And he said the other day in an interview, he gets tired of people talking about, well, you went 5-7. That was a good year for Vandy. He gets tired of hearing that, and I can understand that. He and Barton Simmons coming back here, they knew what they were getting themselves into, and I think he's on the right track. I really do. They're still going to have a lot of growing pains. I don't know how they'll do this year, but I don't think you can. It was kind of a litmus test. It was raining. The weather affected a little bit, but Hawaii was better than they were last year, and they were not going to get beat like that. But just to get that first win under your belt, I think that killer instinct comes with winning, George, and we'll see how it goes in the future.
And that's the biggest difference right now between a Vandy and a Georgia, right? Georgia gets up 35-14. That because Vandy was up 35-14, and you sort of felt, okay, Vandy's got the momentum. They could win this thing, 48, 42-17, something like that, like a lot of people expected. And Georgia would have done. Georgia does that, right? They go and win, 42-14 instead of letting Hawaii get back in it and hang in there and only win 35-28. They had an onside kick that was almost recovered. And it was recovered by Hawaii, but the guy was out of bounds. Yeah. Hawaii gets the ball with a chance to tie it if they get that onside kick. So Vandy really escaped disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
The best thing in this is that it was left-hand column, W.
Yeah.
So let me ask both of y'all this. They play Alabama A&M on Saturday, and I don't know the first thing about it, Alabama A&M. Not going to pretend to. And I'm not going to pretend to believe that I'll have a lot more answers about their football team after Saturday. But what is it you use this for besides getting a win? What things do you use that makes this really meaningful?
I think just building off what you did with your quarterback and your receivers. I mean, Swan was able to consistently find Shepard, McGowan. You saw the touchdown to London Humphreys, so build off that. But George, I mean, I think there's more. I say there's not a ton to build on. There's things to build on, but there's more corrections, right? This is gonna be a huge week for film study, and I think Clark Lee is thanking the heavens that they get Alabama A&M instead of
Alabama.
Yeah, but instead of the road trip to Wake this week, right? Because I mean, you get another week, you get 2 weeks basically to prepare. I know you got to prepare for A&M, but it's Alabama A&M, So I think that this comes at a good time, and they've got a lot to figure out. But I think they've also got some things to build on. Swan, you got to protect Swan though. I think and we said that before the season, right? This season's going to come down to them protecting AJ Swan, and if they can do that, I think they got a chance at a bowl game. If they don't, I think they're right back to sort of square one type of stuff.
Yeah, I just think you go back to fundamentals, George. You go back to corrections. You go back and look and see what you did good, see what you did bad in the games, and you try to build off. You just try to work on your weaknesses and things like that. You can't let people behind you. There's 2 things that I was going to talk about too. AJ Swan. Really, the bad thing was I think they got the ball back with like 4 minutes left, and that's when the good New England Patriots team back in the day, when Tom Brady had the ball, they would not let you have the ball back. And you've got to be able to do that. I think he had a couple of incompletions in a row there when he could have sealed the deal of the game. And then you allow those guys to get another opportunity. And that deal right before, well, I think it was in the first quarter where the Hawaii QB threw an interception in the end zone. If he doesn't throw an interception, they score. Because I think they scored the play before, and then they got something happen. I think it was a penalty. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
It was a penalty. I think it was a procedure penalty. But just think about that. That's 35-35, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you're expected to win that game, and if they tie the game up, man, buttholes are going to pucker up, George, and especially when you're supposed to win a game. So you got to be able to finish it. You talk about that killer instinct. You got to be able to finish it. But there's a lot of good things that they did in the game. I'm with Billy. I don't like. I mean, they kept him upright a few times, or most of the time, but there was a few times where Hawaii's defensive line was able to put a lot of pressure. And I told my wife, I'm like, because we were watching the game, I'm like, golly, they got to shore up that protection, because this is not an SEC team. This is Hawaii, who they beat like 63-7 last year. So there's a long road ahead, but there were some good things that Clark Lee obviously is going to overemphasize this week.
Well, and George and Kelly, this too. Vanderbilt is not used to being so fortunate in games like this, right?
Yeah.
This is the type of game that they might lose under. I know we bring up Coach Mason, but they might, this is a game they might lose, but I think there's a little something to be said about the way they did. Just, we're not losing, right? You felt a little bit like, I know it's close, but they weren't going to lose. And it's always easier watching film after a win like that, right?
Absolutely.
Or any type of win, right? After a loss, then things really escalate, right? Yeah. So I think there's some good, but more bad over anything.
Okay. Couple of things as we go to the break. When we come back, we're going to look into the Vandy game. Was week 0. Now we get, I guess you would call it, week number 1, and 3 or 4 really interesting games involving SEC schools.
And lines are out for a lot of these games. I don't think there's an Alabama A&M line out, so I'll try to attach these lines.
Betting is allowed on these games?
Yeah.
Really?
Betting is allowed.
Even at Iowa State?
Even there.
Oh, I don't know.
Hey, even in the Alabama baseball locker room, they're still doing it.
Hey, Billy, put up that graphic again, because I want to get to 9:33 here and embarrass Kelly. Kelly, we're at 9:32 of YouTube subscribers. If you're watching this show live, go to the George Plaster Show on YouTube and subscribe. I want Kelly to know how easy this is, and we're back after this. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yelly cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Oh, yeah. No, play it loudly and play it proudly. There's not a better feeling in the world than when CBS runs that music at 2:30 getting ready for the SEC. Oh, wait a minute. They're not SEC anymore, are they?
No.
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 They better come with something else.
They're the big
I don't know.
Yeah. How's that Northwestern Rutgers game going to draw in the morning?
That's what I had to deal with in Cleveland, man. The Big Ten game of the week, Northwestern ruptures.
Excuse me?
Northwestern and ruptures.
Sounds like he's saying rupture.
That is what he used to say. He couldn't say Rutgers good, so it sounded like ruptures.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's get to what is week 1 in the SEC. And obviously there are 3, as Billy has sort of pinpointed here, that are huge. The first one is this Florida at Utah thing Thursday night. Florida at the end of the year was not very good. Vandy ran over them here in Nashville, and that one really shocked me. The dominance in the second half against a Florida team that looked like they just kind of bagged it.
Yeah.
Just sort of mailed it in. So now enthusiasm is high, but Kelly.
Well, Cam Rising is questionable right now.
Yeah.
That's
and that's the one problem is Utah with Cam Rising clearly better than Florida. Who wins this game?
Golly, George, you're going to ask me? I don't know. I don't know what you're going to get from Florida. They've got a transfer. Did the kid from transfer, has he won the job from Wisconsin? Did he win the job, Billy?
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. What kind of team are we going to see? Because you're absolutely right, George. I felt like they quit last year. And when a team quits like that, it's hard to get that back. That kind of falls on a head coach. And I don't know what kind of Florida team we're going to see. I think you're absolutely right. If the Rising kid does not play for Utah, I think Florida wins that game at Utah. But I don't know if he plays. They're clearly better. He's a really good player. He's a tough kid. He's played in a lot of big games. So if he plays, I think they beat Florida. But if he doesn't, I still don't know what kind of team Florida has.
Billy, we all know that Utah has had this one circled because Florida, Anthony Richardson played out of his mind in the opener a year ago in Gainesville, made Utah look silly. And that was the thing about Richardson. On certain weeks, man, he was a highlight film. And on others, for instance, against Vandy, not much.
You never knew what you were going to get.
This is going to be interesting.
Utah minus 6.5 right now.
Let me ask this. South Dakota, they good enough to spring the upset on Missouri?
If this was South Dakota State, I think so. But South Dakota is not. I don't think they're nearly as good as South Dakota State, which is interesting. That's the state school. Usually state schools aren't nearly as good.
Kelly, I just don't keep up with South Dakota football the way I should.
Yeah, I played with a guy from the University of South Dakota. I don't see that happening at Missouri. I think if it was a North Dakota State or somebody like that, yes, maybe, but not South Dakota.
Okay, let's go down to the bottom of the screen. This one feels like a toss-up, and Vegas has it virtually at that. North Carolina, South Carolina. I think the game is in Charlotte, quote, neutral site.
It won't be neutral site. South Carolina is going to have most of that stadium. UNC is a lot like Vandy. They don't, they're the wine and cheese crowd.
It's a basketball school.
Yeah. But UNC is minus 2.5 right now.
And that's because of the quarterback.
Drake May.
Yes. And he's pretty dadgum good.
Kelly,
how
go ahead, Joe.
do you think he can be?
Man, that guy's really good. I watched him last year. My son and myself were watching a game when he was home from Troy, and golly, I didn't realize he's as big as he was. I think his brother played basketball there. Was a walk-on.
Yep.
But he's really good, George. He'll sit in that pocket. He takes hits. He can move around. Very accurate with the football. He's going to be a top pick in the draft, I would say. He's. I think he might have been going to Alabama first, and then he decided to go to the North Carolina. I think he'd committed to Alabama, but I don't know about this game. Have to see how Spencer Rattler plays. I think he played really good at the end of the year last year, obviously beating UT, who came in at undefeated, and they beat Clemson as well. So I know that Coach Beamer is looking to carry over what they did at the end of the year last year against the Tar Heels. We'll see how it goes. But Cade May, the May kid, is a really good football player, and he's a prototypical type guy. He's big. He's just accurate with that football. So that's the reason why they're up, I would say.
You mentioned he's big. He'll run you over too. He ran the ball.
God, I didn't realize because he looks like a thin guy on TV, and then you look him up, and I mean he's in the 220s, and he was a freshman last year, so he's a really good football player. It's fun to watch him play.
But the question is their defense. They couldn't stop anybody last year.
Yeah, and if they let's put it this way, if defensively they aren't considerably better, Rattler may pick them apart.
Yeah, the over-under is 64.5.
Yeah, and it might get to that.
That'll probably hit.
So we're going to wait until tomorrow with Tony Basilio to talk Tennessee and Virginia. That's an 11 in the morning game at Nissan Stadium. And by the way, if you're wondering, and watch my skills here, Saturday, 89 for a high.
It's not too bad.
No, it could be worse, but at 11 in the morning, that's tough.
That's an awful kickoff time.
Okay. On the second row, I can't believe I'm saying this. UMass is better than they have been.
They won last week.
They did. They beat an awful New Mexico State on the road. On the road.
Yep.
Hugh Freeze's debut on paper looks like a cupcake, but UMass looked better than they have looked in recent years. Kelly, give me the scouting report. Can Middle make the Alabama game interesting?
Man, as an alum, I want to say so, but I don't really know. It's funny that Billy talked about he has not released a depth chart yet for Alabama. So I'm sure they still got questions about the quarterback position, but I don't really think it matters. I mean, I'm a Go Blue Raider guy, but I just don't think they may. I mean, we've been able to beat some teams. We went down to Georgia Tech years ago when I was doing the radio, and it shouldn't even been close. The referees, which I'll say it on the air here, referees kept it closer than it actually should have been. But I just don't think they can do anything with Alabama and Tuscaloosa. I hope they can, but they got a kid that's played a little bit at quarterback. They liked him last year, and then I forget what happened. I don't know if he got injured or the other guy just beat him out, but he has got some game experience. But that's a little different when you're going against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So I hope, but I don't think so, George.
Middle's got about as tough of an SEC schedule as a lot of SEC teams.
I know, it's crazy, man.
Missouri next week.
Yep.
So the early game of the year in college football is at the bottom. And I think like a year ago, this is neutral site in Orlando. Am I correct about that?
Yep.
So you got Florida State, LSU. Remember they played, quote, neutral site a year ago, Superdome in New Orleans. Boy.
I'll be interested to see the crowd split here. How many LSU fans make the trip, even though it's in Florida State country?
Well, you know it'll be a bunch.
Yeah, maybe half.
So this has got real national implications early, Kelly. And I know this. At the end of last year, that kid at Florida State was like green lightning. Nobody could tackle him.
Yeah, he was. This is a good game for me because got two really good quarterbacks that have played some significant football and they're pretty good. So Florida State won this game last year, and everybody kind of wrote LSU off. And you got to give it to Brian Kelly and his staff. He kept those kids in it, kept them focused, and they got back into the talk at the end of the year, and they beat Alabama. So I see LSU winning this game. I really do. But hey, it'll be fun to see the crowd. But I just think LSU may be better this year. But I don't know. I mean, that's what makes this all intriguing. Nobody really knows at the beginning of the year how a team's going to be, and I would go with LSU. But Florida State won it last year, and I thought LSU would win that game.
Something to watch, though. LSU will be without one of their best defensive linemen, Mason Smith, for receiving improper benefits a month before NIL became legal.
Oh, good gracious.
Which is
Here
ridiculous. I think we talked about that last week. So watch that. Watch can they get the same amount of pressure on Travis that they would have if Smith would have been there?
By the end of the year, man, Travis was the real deal. I'm looking forward to seeing, from the end of last season to now, if he's any better, holy cow.
And they've got weapons too.
What do you all think about this? The winner will have a neutral site win against a top 5 opponent in the country kind of deal. Early NCAA playoff committee got to pay attention to that.
Yeah, you do, and that's why these coaches don't really like those games at the beginning of the year, because I think everybody wrote, like I just said, everybody wrote LSU off because they lost that first game last year to Florida State, so nobody thought they were going to be much, and then they kind of got themselves back into the picture. They lost 2 games, but yeah, you do. But that's why all these coaches want like the Michigans of the world playing Bowling Green and your Notre Dame team. They're Billy playing Navy, and then they got the Marines, and then they got Air Force, and then they got who they play that TSU,
National Guard,
BGA.
I mean, good gracious, that's they want to play some preseason games.
Did you hear what he just said?
I did. BGA, yes. Which he's not wrong. He's not wrong, George. They can't beat eggs at this point. I'm sorry.
Don't you ever do that again on this show. Never. Okay. Good first week. We're all looking forward to that UT Martin, Georgia game.
Oh yeah.
So look, though, go back on that list again. Money grab games. Certainly, Mercer will love the money coming out of Oxford. UMass probably loves the money coming out of Auburn. Southeast Louisiana, UT Martin, New Mexico, Middle. This is the thing that everybody better pay notice to, is that as these conferences start to X out the little guy, and the little guy can no longer get these couple of paydays that they need, that's tough.
Very tough.
Let me ask you all this: out of all these cupcake teams, which one has the best chance at competing against who they're playing?
Well, I know the Western Carolina coach because I played with him in Indianapolis, Kerwin Bell. So
really,
yeah, they'll throw the ball all over the place. Western Carolina against Arkansas. So that could be. I don't know. They can't stack up against them running the ball, and defensively they're going to have trouble with KJ Jefferson. But they'll throw the ball. Now whether they complete those balls, I don't know, and whether they're able to keep their quarterback upright. But I would say Western Carolina probably against Arkansas would be the most competitive.
Here's one thing to take note of, Billy. This is gambler stuff. You ready?
Ready.
So the cupcakes have big lines in a lot of cases, but the problem ends up being depth. And if you end up playing at 3:00 in the afternoon and it's 90 degrees and you don't have the depth, that's where scores get run up and get out of control.
George, I'll give y'all an example talking about depth. When I was a sophomore, we played the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. Tom Osborne was out there, and that was Tommy Frazier's debut. But they came out at the game and they tried to throw the ball against us because they were working on stuff because they played Colorado the next week. So they came out and tried to throw the ball. At halftime, it was 14-7. The second half, obviously, he went in there and shouted at them dudes. They didn't throw another pass, and they would just bring waves of offensive line on. It looked like they dressed out 150 guys, and they would let a group go for 3 plays, and then they'd get a first down, and then a whole new offensive line would come in. It was crazy, and our dudes were sitting there like tongues hanging out. But you know what? We had 22 guys that could play, but after that, our depth. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. The depth of some of these games, that's where they get you.
Well, I'll say this too. Mississippi State, I don't know how good Southeast Louisiana is, but that's the first game as a head coach for Zach Arnett. And you never know how those first games go for head coaches. So If I had to pick one, I might go there, although I don't know how good Southeast Louisiana is.
Kelly, guess what comes up after the break?
Oh, we know, George. We get it.
We sure do.
We know. Oh,
Plaster
yeah.
bet of the day, a
You'll
commitment
make some
to
folks some
excellence.
money.
You
Yeah,
got that
yeah.
right. Stay tuned.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Final segment on a Monday. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Let's take a look, though, first at the results from this weekend. A 3-1 weekend for George. Titans won. They covered. Chiefs won. Vandy bet lost. Vandy only won by 7.
Yeah.
And San Diego State ended up winning as well.
So it appears, Kelly, that that I'm holding my own in football in spite of your negativity.
You'll have a downturn here shortly, I'm sure.
Yeah. But, I mean, you look at that record, that's not exactly chopped liver.
No, it's pretty good, man. Like you say, you're making folks money, I guess.
Mm-hmm. You think they're paying attention?
No.
Thank you. Kelly, tonight, we're going to get you a win with the Phillies.
Okay.
Phillies are red hot right now. Oh, look at this.
A new and improved graphic.
Where? Hold on. I see a couple of $100 bills. Let me grab a couple of those. So when did we put that together?
This morning.
Really?
Yep.
So, Kelly, he's acknowledging that these do make money.
Well, can we put me on the opener since we had some time this morning? Can we put me on the opener, Billy?
Well, we need to edit the voiceover and That guy is.
That will require some long distance operation.
Yes. We'll get back to you on that, Kelly.
Kelly, it's kind of a self-esteem issue for you, isn't it?
Not really, but I'm gonna. This is gonna be my hill to die on right here. If I don't get an opener, I'm not subscribing.
Did we just turn him off?
No, we didn't.
Did we? Well, let him say it again. This is your hill to what?
This is my hill to die on right here. If I don't get on the opener, I'm not subscribing.
Really?
Probably not. Probably not. But I'm just saying. I mean,
Kelly, let me first of all, you take the Phillies tonight, and then send me the money. Tomorrow on the show, Tony Basilio will join us, and obviously we'll get deep into the Tennessee-Virginia game, and we'll ask the question, are the Cavaliers remotely able to handle what Tennessee's going to bring to the table? In recent years, the answer would be a resounding no, but it is an opener, and it is a new quarterback in Joe Milton, so who knows? Secondly, Terry McCormick will rejoin us tomorrow at 3:20 with all of the cuts. Now, one of the things that is probably going to go down after the cuts is the Titans are then going to have to go sign themselves a kicker because the Michael Badgley experiment didn't last very long.
No, there's going to be a lot of lives changed too here in the next 24 hours, George.
Yeah.
It's no good because I've been on that. I've been on that situation where, I was going to go be a bartender, as you call it, or I'd made it for a little bit and I knew that I wasn't going to get cut. So that was, it's a different deal, but a lot of lives changed, a lot of dreams that are going to be shattered, and it kind of sucks. It really does.
It does kind of suck. Kelly, in your mind, what should the roster number of an NFL team be?
Man, I don't know. That's good. That's a good question, George, because it's at 53, and then I think how many guys they got on the practice squad now? Is it 8 or 10?
Yeah, it's something like that.
It used to be 5 when I was there, so you literally had 58 guys, and when you get 53 guys on the team, then when you play on game days, they dwindle it down even more. So I don't know. I think it's a good number that you're at right now. I just wish they wouldn't dwindle it down where so many guys are inactive during the game. So I think 53 is a good number, but man, I don't know. You can't have that many, George. And that's what some GMs that I was around, they're kind of an inexperience about that. You can't miss on draft picks. You just can't do it because there's not that many guys on a team. And then when you shrivel it down on game day, there's not many mistakes you can make in the draft. It's hard.
Well,
that was my phone, by the way, making that noise.
Get it together, George.
You need to clean up your attitude.
I think that needs a fine too. Billy, collect this $100.
Wait a minute, what was it we did?
Garnishment of
garnish.
wages.
Yeah, garnish.
Yeah. Garnish is $100, Billy.
Hey, we've got the first big cut to be announced. The Cardinals have cut quarterback Colt McCoy, which means recently traded former Titans quarterback Josh Dobbs might end up starting. Because
know what? Somebody will pick up Colt McCoy.
Yeah, Kyler Murray is going to miss the first 4 games of the season. So Josh Dobbs will get an opportunity, it looks like.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day. Colt McCoy, they got rid of him. Wow. That's crazy.
He'll be picked up, though.
He'll be picked up quickly.
Yeah, somebody will.
Because he's won games in this league before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kelly, we'll do it again tomorrow. I'll be 26-13. That's 2 out of every 3. Don't make you
That's
some
pretty
scratch.
good, George.
Yeah,
I got
make you some scratch.
I got you.
Clean up your attitude between now and then, or you may have wages garnished.
I'll see.
And Billy, try not to get anything on that shirt because I'm sure he's going to make you wear it again tomorrow.
I didn't make him wear it today.
You didn't?
But you know, the beauty of it is, Kelly, he was proud of it.
I'll wear the yellow one tomorrow.
Show the shirt again. No.
Are you sure, Billy? Were you really proud of that? Did you come up with the design?
Well, I had that. The logo was my idea.
There you go.
Now, whoa, hold on a second.
Not my
now,
idea.
that's not really true.
But
who was the talented young man who put the logo
Well,
together?
not young man. He's older, but Sean Sen designed this logo.
He did a hell of a job.
But you can I think I deserve some of the credit there.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I do too. I think you deserve all the credit, Billy. See ya.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah. Good luck on that one. See all of you tomorrow. Behave until then.